We are going to have a conversation about a very difficult topic, the possibility that your mate may actually be cheating on you. Like most of you, I've had times in my life where I've been cheated on, and it's a very devastating experience to think that you have trusted and placed your trust in someone who did not act in accordance with the guidelines of your relationship.
You are my everything.
How do you know if your mate is cheating? Some of these signs are characteristics of someone who's cheating, and sometimes these are signs of other issues that may be looming that you might be able to correct. The first one is they suddenly are bored with everything in their life. They're bored on their job, they're bored with their hobbies, or life in general. Or they have taken up a brand new activity that keeps them out the house at all kinds of odd hours or for very long periods of time when that wasn't a part of their life originally. You may also notice that the intimacy between the two of you has either decreased or it's non-existent altogether. Another thing is you may notice that your partner seems to be a little more creative in the bedroom. Now, if the both of you are typically missionary folks and y'all don't really like to do a whole lot of extra, and all of a sudden your partner got you hanging on chandeliers and doing a wheelbarrow and all kinds of craziness, and this isn't something that you guys discussed in advance, that you want to spice up your relationship a little bit, you might have something to worry about, because they're picking this up somewhere and bringing it home, and now they want you to run tricks. You might have something to worry about. If your spouse shows signs of low self-esteem and they're constantly needing to be fed in some kind of way emotionally, it may be something worth paying attention to, because if you are not feeding into and sewing into your spouse, they may look elsewhere for that emotional need to be met. And hand in hand with that emotional need may come physical needs being met. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you're finding it very difficult to communicate with your spouse because they are no longer opening up to you about what's bothering them or telling you about the different things that they used to tell you about on their job, perhaps they're sharing those ideas and those special things with someone else. Either that or they're becoming real closed mouth, because if they tell this portion of the story, then they've got to tell this portion of the story. And so if they open up that gate too wide, you're going to have more questions than answers. And that's going to cause a question mark to be formed, and they might get caught. So keep that in mind. If you mention the possibility that there may be infidelity going on and they become overly defensive, or they bring up everything that you might be cheating even though you know you're not, something to keep in mind. They in turn start showing you this ridiculous amount of affection. It's one thing for a man to mess up and they bring you flowers, but if all of a sudden it's not a bushel of roses, instead they're filling the room with flowers and candy and all this, and they don't normally do that, you know they done messed up big. And they trying to cover up the fact that they messed up big by making your heart feel overwhelmed with emotion because they've purchased these huge items. So another thing is, if they are putting in really long hours at work, or all of a sudden have really long extended business trips, and just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, you can go on those business trips with your spouse. Now, the company may not pay for your flight and all that, but once you get there, you can stay in the hotel room with your spouse while you're there. The only thing you'll have to do is pick up your flight. So if they try to say you can't come on this big business trip for some reason, it's a lie. Yes, you can. If they are paying more attention to their appearance than usual. So all of a sudden, you know, you got a guy that wears jeans and tennis shoes or sweatpants and t-shirts, and all of a sudden now when he leaves the house, he got to look a little better, he's smelling pretty good, it might be a problem. If he's just going out to a dinner thing with his friends or going over to his buddy's house to hang out, and the moment he get home, he got to hop in the shower, or if he leaves the house smelling like Dove and comes home smelling like Irish Spring, that's a problem. He took a shower somewhere else, or she took a shower somewhere else. So keep that in mind. If your spouse is spending more money than usual, or you usually manage all of the accounting in your household, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'll manage the credit cards, or I'll manage this, that, and the other, there might be some expenses that he'd rather you not see. And if it ain't around your birthday, there ain't nothing to be hiding. The other thing is, ladies and gentlemen, trust your intuition. You know good and well that if someone's cheating on you and you get a gut feeling that it's happening, 9 times out of 10, you can trust your gut. So quit questioning yourself every time you have a feeling, because 9 times out of 10, it's real, okay? And especially if you've already caught them lying to you about different things or telling partial truths, which is the same thing as a lie. Omission of the truth is a lie. Just for those who don't understand that that is a thing. It is a thing. Whew, got warm talking about all this and got me all riled up. Okay, so if they are, for the most part, pretty religious, and they tend to attend religious services with you, and all of a sudden now they have no desire to attend religious services, it could be that he or she is feeling guilty. And so the sheer thought of being in that kind of environment is more guilt than they can handle. What do you do if you suspect your partner's cheating? These are some things that you might want to consider doing. First thing, keep in mind that although those are some signs that will show that there's possible infidelity, that may not be what's going on at all. So communication in a relationship is extremely important. You don't want to jump to conclusions. So make sure you're having an ongoing conversation, and you're more likely to figure out that what's going on has absolutely nothing to do with them cheating. Perhaps something's going on or lacking in your relationship as a whole. The other thing is, you got to try and be as calm as possible. When you feel like someone is cheating on you, your emotions will get the best of you. You've been lost your mind in a heartbeat and said something that you can't take back and is probably unforgivable. So make sure you take your time and just give a lot of thought to what you're wanting to say before you actually say it, because once something falls out your mouth, it's gone. You can't get it back. So make sure it's something that isn't going to be so hurtful that it damages the relationship. Because if that person really isn't doing something and you say something that really hurts them, you could be damaging the relationship where they ain't done nothing at all. So keep that part in mind. And again, communication is the most important thing when you have a relationship. If it does turn out that your spouse is cheating, please try and keep in mind you're not to blame. You can't hold the weight of the world on your shoulders. If your spouse has walked out of that relationship or out of your marriage, it's easy to put the blame on yourself. Well, I wasn't doing enough of this, or I wasn't doing enough of that. But really, the onus of that infidelity needs to be placed on the adulterer, the one that committed the act. That has nothing to do with you, because when someone cheats, it's a choice to leave that relationship. It's not a mistake. You didn't fall in it. You didn't fall on it. It's a choice that you're making, a choice that you've thought about and you made. That has nothing to do with you. Even if you are acting as funky as you could possibly act, that person made that choice to walk out of that relationship and do something with someone else. The other part is infidelity can be kind of funny too, because sometimes what it'll show you is not that this person was walking outside the marriage because they're tired of the same old cracker. It may not be anything like that. It may be that you don't compliment them anymore, just like maybe they don't compliment you. Or the fun things that you used to do together, you don't do anymore. So that's why it's important, and people tell people constantly, keep dating your partner. Because the things that you did in the beginning to get them are the very same things you need to do to keep them. So if you made sure your nails were done, then you better keep your nails done. If you made sure your hair was done, you better keep your hair done. No, that's not to say that in relationships you don't get comfortable, because everyone gets comfortable. You wear stuff that don't match, you be looking crazy sometimes. I'm guilty of that. But at the same time, you have to make the time to look special and to look like you gave some effort to putting yourself together, just like you did for your partner in the beginning of the relationship. They want to walk through and go, daggum, shit, look at you. They want to look at you like that, just like you want to look at your partner like that. So take that time to remember to date them. Infidelity is never good, but it can also shine a very big light that you have other problems in your relationship that's going on. And there are some folks that when the bond of marriage has been broken, even though rebuilding that trust can be a challenge, it can be done if the both of you are really willing. Of course, that will take a lot of communication. You need to seek outside help. But if you choose to give that person a second chance, that's your choice, it's your marriage. And if you decide you want to give them a second chance, make sure you come back next Thursday, because we're going to be talking about if your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with walks out and commits infidelity and you choose to give them a second chance. How do you go about navigating giving someone a second chance when your heart's been broken? If you confront your spouse and they seem genuinely sorry, better yet, you don't confront them. They come and tell you without any provocation, like you haven't asked anything. They just say, baby, I need to sit down. I need to tell you something. I messed up. Maybe you do want to give the relationship another shot. Marriage is not easy. There's a lot of give and take, and there is a lot of broken hearts along the way. Infidelity can alter the course of your life in many ways that may actually surprise you. It may be the end of the road to your relationship. Sometimes, however, infidelity can also be the catalyst to fixing the things that are wrong with your relationship. And you may come out of that whole thing with a stronger bond than you've ever had before. So I'll see you next Thursday. Be safe and treat yourself kindly.